Well, you need to go to work. Your son needs to go to basketball practice, and your mom needs help getting dressed. That's a daily routine for many baby boomers considered to be part of what is called the sandwich generation. We're working and caring for both our kids and our parents or parent. Research shows this is the new reality for 1 in 8 of us. Now, after my dad died and my mom started having health issues, Mo and I, along with our brothers, had to take a hard look at what was best for our mother. And we know a lot of you are going through the same thing. So tonight, Mo starts a 3-part special report on taking care of mom and dad. Mo?
Thanks, Terry. And as we speak, we've both been at the hospital most of the day today because Mom fell and broke her hip and will have surgery this evening after taking yet another fall. So we welcome prayers. But before this latest mishap, the 4 of us spent a couple of years making sure Mom was eating, and our sons took turns spending the night with Grandma. Then I started taking her home with me to spend the night, and she'd go back home during the day. We even hired a caregiver to come into her home while we worked. And eventually, after her previous falls and still living in the 2-story home we grew up in, even Mom knew it was time for a change. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was one we made together out of love. And Mom ultimately made the decision about the assisted living facility where she now lives. Others may be able to take care of Mom or Dad at home or get help to keep them in their home as long as possible. The hard part is figuring out what is best. And if you think you can't afford the help, there are a lot of resources right here in town to help you take care of Mom and Dad. They gave us life, nurtured us, cheered us on, and picked us up when we needed it. And most of us feel we owe our parents the same. But when their health starts to fail or they lose a spouse, we have some tough decisions to make. And Joan Cuson, Director for Real Services here in South Bend, says baby boomers are in this together.
We get 1,000 calls a month, and the majority of them are from people who are trying to maintain a parent at home or in whatever way they can, the best that they can. But they're trying to do what's right for their parents and still maintain a life of their own. And it's a difficult balance.
In fact, 12% of women quit their jobs each year to care for a loved one full time. But this labor of love puts women 35 to 54 among the most stressed of any age group. Cuson says a lot of people don't know there are resources available to help caregivers and those who need care. And Real Services can help you make the decision about the best way to care for Mom and Dad.
Sometimes you can piece together a plan for somebody that includes a little bit of home care, a little bit of family support, a little bit of formal support, like an adult day service or having somebody come into the home.
Like Milton Adult Daycare in South Bend, a service of Alzheimer's and Dementia Services of Northern Indiana. This home away from home may be the best kept secret in the area. It's free to veterans, takes Medicaid waivers, accepts private pay for those who don't qualify for aid, and has limited scholarship money. Director Nina Plotkin says the Monday through Friday 8 to 5 program is a big help to caregivers who must work, knowing their loved one is safe and happy.
And so they get to be with people their own age. They get to do exercise. They get to play bingo, which they don't get to do at home. They get to have a hot lunch that they might not do at home. You know, we interact, we love them. That's basically what we do.
And with a social worker, an activities coordinator, and 2 RNs on staff, they can get their medications and have fun. The seniors we talk to say they can't wait to come each morning.
Yeah, my gosh, I can't get in the door. Wait to see what's going on. Oh, there's always something happening nice here.
Oh, I love it here. Yeah. You know what? I made more friends here than I've had all my life.
Everybody's always smiling. I mean, nobody is a grouch here.
No.
And it just perks you up.
By going to adult daycare, families can often keep a loved one with them or in their own home as long as possible, which experts say is best.
Every time you move an older adult from one environment to another, you can usually expect some cognitive decline, and that's very real.
But there often comes a point when Mom or Dad may no longer be safe in their home or ours, and there are signs we can look for.
Anything that you see that is out of the normal for that person, they've lived their life a certain way and suddenly you're seeing a change in behavior.
Kusan says the first trip you should make is to the doctor to rule out a treatable problem. And if the doctor believes assisted living or a nursing home is in order, Real Services can help you find the best place for mom or dad. And there are a lot of options for those on Medicaid.
There are more opportunities available to them, including home care, assisted living, and the nursing home, of course. Indiana has a completely open Medicaid waiver program, and what that means is that the Medicaid dollars that would be used for a person to maintain them in a nursing home can be made available to maintain them at home.
While most assisted living facilities are private pay, there are some in our area that accept Medicaid waivers. For those on Medicare, unfortunately, assisted living facilities are not covered, but there is some coverage for nursing facilities. Even so, Real Services can meet with you and find an assisted living facility or nursing home that you can afford. And again, many veterans and their spouses often get a housing benefit.
We have all the lists of nursing homes and assisted living. We can give people tips on what kinds of questions they should ask. You also have to look at that individual. Are they social or are they not social? And so you want to pick an environment that matches who they are.
And Joan, who like my family had to make the hard decision herself to move her mom into a senior facility, says when the time comes, you should be proud you've done what's right for them.
My heart's there. I've been there, and it's a difficult road. I wouldn't have changed anything. It made me a better person, and it was the final gift from my mother.
A final gift of security. We can give those who gave us so much. Tomorrow night, just before 6, we'll introduce you to two families who took different paths helping with mom and dad. One daughter no longer works and is able to take care of her mom at home. The other made the decision to move her mom into assisted living, where she knew she would be well cared for and safe. We also have links to Real Services on our website if you want to start getting some ideas about what services might be available for your loved one, as well as a link to Milton Adult Day Services. Real Services is usually free or based on a person's ability to pay. They have caseworkers and geriatric specialists. All the support group meetings for caregivers at Milton Adult Daycare are free, and you're allowed to bring your loved one who can join in the activities. You'll also find a link of assisted living homes in our area that accept Medicaid waivers, and there can be waiting lists, so you'll want to start looking into your options. And Real Services really is a one-stop shop. They will meet with you, can set you up with geriatric case managers, and help you navigate this very difficult path. I know, because my family's been there, and as hard as it is, include your loved one in the decision if possible. We did, and my mom knew it was time to do something. Taking care of mom and dad, it's a reality that especially many of us in the baby boom generation are facing. In fact, 1 in 8 of us is in what is called the sandwich generation, taking care of our families and homes and our parents and their homes and health too. Last night we began our special reports by talking to Real Services about the resources you might not know are available for in-home care, assisted living, and nursing homes. Real Services can help you navigate this difficult road, and I advise you to get in touch with them if this topic is something you are going to need to deal with. Tonight, in part 2 of my series, we look at two families who made different choices on how to best care for a parent. Doing lunch dishes with her 91-year-old mother Edna is part of the daily routine in Linda Z's Mishawaka home. It has been since her mom came from Florida to live with Linda and her husband 5 years ago. Edna has Alzheimer's and diabetes, and doctors told Linda her mom could no longer live alone.
If I had to be working, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I'm fortunate, I don't have to work.
Linda gets her mom up and moving in the morning. Edna reads the paper, and Linda makes her write down what she eats. The two also visit Edna's 81-year-old sister in assisted living about 3 times a week. While thankful she can care for her mom at home, Linda says the ongoing support she gets from groups at Alzheimer's and Dementia Services has been a godsend.
I get stressed because every day is new. You never know. Sometimes every hour is new.
How much would you say going to these support groups has helped you?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, because I sit there and I listen to other people, and I leave there and I go, oh, you don't have it so bad.
But being a caregiver 24/7 is not easy. Edna, like many with dementia, has short-term memory issues, but recalls vividly working at Mishawaka's Tivoli Theater as a teen, taking part in beauty pageants on stage.
This was the shorter leg one, and then this was the later one with the thing around the neck.
Linda just prays she'll never have to make the decision to move her mom to a nursing home. But Linda still visits her support group at Milton Adult Day Services, taking life one day at a time.
You have to keep in mind that this is a temporary situation.
Across town in South Bend, Diane Stewart is visiting her mom, Catherine, at Sterling House, the assisted living facility Catherine has called home for a year and a half.
I'm making, it's kind of like a lap robe so that they fit into wheelchairs.
Like many of us, Diane works full-time and did her best to keep her mom at home for as long as possible.
Well, Mom lived by herself in a pretty large home near Notre Dame, and she had stairs to go to, whether to do laundry, go upstairs to take a bath, go to bed at night. And she found she couldn't cook for herself safely either. Her health and interaction with peers was declining dramatically, and eventually it was required that she needed to have the 24/7 care.
Real Services suggests we start talking to Mom and Dad early about where they want to be before they leave home. My brothers and I, along with our mom, visited several places, and she decided this was most like home. Diane and her mom also visited several facilities, and they too chose Sterling House. And like most of us, Diane says she felt her share of guilt, but that passed as Catherine's health improved.
At first, I really felt bad about Mom coming here because, you know, there's these strangers taking care of Mom. And once we got in here and she got acclimated and I got acclimated, it's like they're not strangers anymore. They're like an extended family. Health, safety, and well-being for me is a priority to Mom.
Joan Cuson of Real Services says our idea of assisted living is changing because the baby boomer generation is demanding more.
I think the assisted livings that are popping up are a perfect response to that kind of a need.
Executive Director Justin Kimbrell agrees that perceptions are changing.
They're able to have their own individual apartment. It is a lot different than a strict nursing home that you would think. Assisted living has stepped up, filled that void.
Kill two birds with one stone.
And not just meals and activities to keep their residents engaged. The state of Indiana has defined assisted living in two ways. To use the term assisted living, a facility must file with the Family and Social Services Agency Division on Aging. Once registered as Housing with Services Establishment, or HSE, it provides 3 meals a day and some additional services. But if a community provides residential on-site nursing care and gives medications, it must be licensed by the state. So it's important when checking for Mom and Dad that you know the difference and read the contract.
We have what we call the medical model here, and that means that we're able to do a lot more things with our residents and keep them to the end of life because we can offer more things that they need, especially those with memory care loss, changes in or declining in their medical care.
Our area has a number of assisted living communities that may stand alone or have combined environments, from apartments to comprehensive nursing care. And Cuson of Real Services says they can help you find the right fit for Mom and Dad. Many assisted living facilities are private pay, but some have waivers for veterans and their spouses. A smaller number take Medicaid waivers. Again, Real Services can help you maneuver what might work for you. Diane says for her mom, Catherine, assisted living was absolutely the right decision.
I knew that she needed to be out of her house and into a place that would take care of her. She gets more peer interaction, mental health. She gets up and walks around more. She has a place to go. She has a destination. It's nice, just nice.
And while it's not home, my mom tells me the same thing. Until falling and breaking her hip yesterday, for which she's had successful surgery and is recovering, her health has improved overall. She's around people her own age, she's thriving, and she feels safe. Again, Real Services is the go-to place if you need help with all of this. And we have a link on our website, WNDU.com. Just click on this story. Their services are often free or based on a person's ability to pay. And believe it or not, your parent doesn't need to be dying to benefit from hospice. They can also come into your home to help with medications and checking vitals. And if your parent is past assisted living, they can also help you find the best nursing home for your loved one. Again, just go to WNDU.com. And tomorrow, we highlight another kind of caregiving. As hard as it is taking care of Mom and Dad, imagine finding out your 59-year-old spouse has Alzheimer's and keeping them home under your care for 10 years. Tomorrow, you'll hear the story of an extraordinary couple and how this disease, which usually strikes our parents and grandparents, forever change their lives. And to see the first part of Taking Care of Mom and Dad, you can go to our website and look under Special Reports. We're back after this. About 6 months ago, my mom and brothers and I had to make a tough decision about her future. Her health was failing, and our efforts to keep her in our childhood home or one of our own wasn't working. Like many of you, we all work, and when she was alone, she had a couple of pretty serious falls. So she picked out an assisted living facility, and while it's not home, she is thriving and staying active with people her own age who have similar issues. We spent the last couple of nights trying to help many of you facing the same thing. And as tough as it is making these decisions about your parent, imagine being told your 59-year-old husband has Alzheimer's and your role has changed from wife to caregiver. Judy and Steve Nye of South Bend have been together for 32 years. These pictures show an active couple who enjoyed good times together, from their wedding, sailing their boat around the Caribbean, dining with their moms, and visiting with grandchildren. This is Steve today at 71, now in the final stages of Alzheimer's. You can see the change from Judy's previously athletic and active husband. Judy says at first they weren't sure what was wrong.
When he was 59, I started noticing things that weren't quite right, because he's a very accomplished individual, very articulate, very aware, and could do just about anything. He started forgetting how to do things. He would repeat himself. He'd say things, and 2 minutes later he'd say it again.
Steve, an environmental engineer who owned his own business and has a master's from Notre Dame, thought it was the stress of work, but Judy finally convinced him to see a doctor. His diagnosis was heartbreaking.
We learned that he did have Alzheimer's.
That was 12 years ago, and Judy says her heavy caregiving began about 6 years ago, all while working full-time for Crow Horwath, which she still does, to pay for Steve's care. She says her company made arrangements for her to work out of their home, which wasn't always easy.
I would be on a conference call, and he's jabbering and interrupting and playing with my work papers, so that was becoming complicated as well.
For the last 3 years, Morning View Nursing and Rehabilitation Center has been Steve's home, but it wasn't Judy's choice. He jumped out of the car and took off running. Police found him and took him to a geriatric psych ward where it was decided it was no longer safe for him to live at home. As much as Judy loves Morning View, that didn't stop her from being a caregiver. She says other than work, she spent every waking hour with Steve.
The guilt feeling of having him here was very, very difficult, and I felt that he needed me and that he would be lost without me and that he would realize or think that I didn't love him anymore.
Through Real Services and support groups with Alzheimer's and Dementia Services of Northern Indiana and the advice of her doctor, Judy realized she needed to cut back.
Reach out and talk to people, get involved in caregiver groups, because it's a tremendous help to learn that there are other people that are going through the same thing that you are.
She says it's also important to understand what you're dealing with.
I think it's really important to learn as much as you can about the disease that your loved one has.
In fact, Judy now serves on the executive board of Alzheimer's and Dementia Services of Northern Indiana. They, along with Real Services, can help you make the best decision for your family.
We have a tremendous amount of resources, and we're very tuned into the caregiver. They are the ones that keep people at home for as long as possible.
Judy says she now visits about 4 nights a week, and she knows Steve is well cared for.
I go and visit the children on vacation, and when I do that, the staff here, they're aware of it. I'm in touch with them daily.
She never regrets the care she gave her husband at home, just that he has to suffer from this insidious disease. And while their lives changed dramatically from carefree days of working, vacationing, and visiting family, Judy says the time they spend together is something she cherishes.
But even if he's not aware that I'm his wife, he holds my hand all the time. There are moments of clarity when I know he does. His eyes light up and he'll look at me and he'll get the biggest smile and he'll give me kisses.
Whether taking care of a spouse or mom or dad, Cuson says as painful as these decisions are, caregivers have to also take care of themselves.
And if what you're doing is about them, and it's about you. There's no guilt in that. You have to take care of yourself as well. Caregivers do. And just because that parent is in a nursing home or is in assisted living does not mean that you've walked away from your responsibilities. It actually means you've made the tough decision and you've done the right thing for that parent, and you should be proud of that.
If you'd like to see the first and second part of my series, Taking Care of Mom and Dad, you can find it on our website under Special Reports. You can also find links to Real Services and the Alzheimer's and Dementia Services of Northern Indiana. Both can help you find the proper care for your loved one. Many of their services are free, but some are based on a person's ability to pay. And if you're wondering what it may feel like to be a person with Alzheimer's, in this story, under Special Reports on our website, you'll find a link to a virtual tour that will give you more perspective and understanding about what your loved one is feeling. My family and I know this is not an easy path, but include your loved one in the decision making if you can, and their choices will make yours much easier.